Good morning, everyone. September 12th. Yesterday, as I combed through the headlines looking for new tidbits of information, and I am an admitted information junkie. I love information, constantly chasing information. It occurred to me that the day of reckoning, it's almost here. Almost here. Have you felt the increasing tension? It's everywhere. Everywhere. Recently, I went to this place that it was filled with people of color, and each person I smiled at and said hi to, they just gave me the dirtiest fucking looks. You know, not long ago, I thought perhaps the anti-white racism going on was, isolated incidences. And now that I've combed through the data and experienced it for myself in public, I have to say that I was wrong about it being just isolated people and isolated incidents. See, that's one thing. That's one thing. One. Now, I live in South Carolina. No, I don't live near the coast, and I would never be foolish enough to live in such a place. But we are supposedly going to get hit by this near Category 5 hurricane. And the problem with this isn't the hurricane. I mean, really, the problem is the 12 nuclear reactors that exist in the Carolinas, both north and south. 7 of which are here in South Carolina. 2 of which are within reach of this hurricane. And I understand that these reactors need water to cool the radioactive material inside of it, the fuel rods. But couldn't they have come up with something a little better than putting it next to tsunami-prone, hurricane-prone areas? Wouldn't you think that they would put a little more thought into, maybe this isn't such a great place to build this thing because there could be a hurricane that causes bad damage to it, and then we'll have all this radioactive material leaking into the ground and the air, but no, they don't even consider these things. I mean, couldn't they have come up with something better than using nuclear power in the first place? I mean, fuck, Tesla did. But no. Instead, they do the careless, stupid thing. They put these things right in areas that are prone to natural disasters. And not only that, but they've allowed these things to deteriorate to such a degree that they are all leaking radioactive material into the atmosphere. 95% of them, in fact. And then you have these volcanoes coming alive. Now one in Alaska. Enough of them come alive, enough of them erupt and begin shooting this matter into the atmosphere. We're going to experience very, very cold weather, among other things. You have the uptick of seismic activity there in Yellowstone, and they swear to fucking God that nothing's happening there. Do you believe them? Can you believe anything mainstream scientists, mainstream media, mainstream this, that, or the other? Can you believe anything that they tell you? I can't, because they have a long track record of being lying sacks of shit. I mean, fuck. The Rockefellers thanked the media for helping them cover up all the evil shit they were doing. They said, we would have never been able to get away with these things without your help. And then you have the scientists. They're going to go with the status quo. They're going to do what they're told. You can't talk about this event that's going to happen. And if you do, you're going to either be dead or completely ruined, where you'll wish you were dead. I mean, I can't really blame the scientists, because I imagine a lot of them have been threatened. Then you have plane loads of sick people landing on our soil. And the individuals who weren't sick on these flights were exposed to the sickness the other passengers were carrying. What do you suppose? How do you suppose a modern day pandemic would start? Some asshole in Africa with Ebola, or the bubonic plague or pneumonic plague. They don't display any symptoms, and they're able to get on a flight, and somewhere along the way they start getting a fever. They start coughing and sneezing, and then the little particulates float out and get sucked up into the ventilation system and redistributed all over the entire plane. And we had multiple cases of this. The writing is on the wall. Bill Gates constantly on this shit with the pandemic. And then you have the economic end of things. One country after another collapsing. And people in the United States would like to think that they're immune to such a event. You're not. None of us are immune to any of this. Just because I'm a little over 200 miles from the coast doesn't mean that hurricane can't affect me. Just because the economy is collapsing in multiple countries around the world doesn't mean, and it's not happening here, seemingly anyway, doesn't mean it's not going to happen here. You take for granted all the great things we, as a society, have. The seemingly endless fuel supplies, the packed grocery stores. And what I find really odd about living in the South is when disaster looms, people go and they'll empty what shelves? Bread. That's what they'll focus on. Bread and milk. Bread and milk. Milk is a stupid thing to buy. Considering if you have a power outage, and that is very likely during these hurricanes and the thunderstorms we'll get as a result. They buy milk and bread. And of course, everyone from the coast that's been evacuating, they're all cramming into this little ass place. Little ass places, really. Making it miserable for anyone who actually lives in these places. But I digress. What is the point? The point is, with each passing day, with every tidbit of bad news, oh, you know, something I forgot to mention. What's going on in Syria. We thought maybe because Donald Trump became president and he ran, and when I say we, I don't mean me per se. I mean those who voted for him. Thought Donald Trump was going to bring home the troops. They thought the false flags were over with. They thought he was going to bring back the economy, and many of them are talking like he has. They thought he would bring rule of law back. They thought he was going to drain the swamp. But instead, we're facing a war with Iran, a war with Russia, China, Syria, maybe even some of our EU NATO partners, you know, Germany. I think Germany is going to flip on us. And I've been saying, Germany, I've been talking about how they want to ditch the dollar. I've been talking about how they want a separate system from the United States, a separate payment system. And I've talked about how the economy here in South Carolina heavily relies on BMW, which is a German company. And I said that when BMW is pulled out of here, and it will be, all the people that have moved here from California, Texas, Arizona, you name it, the libtard places. I'm not insinuating Texas is a libtard place, but it seems to me it's going that direction. But the point is, with every passing day, with every tidbit of bad news, these things are being compounded. And the thing is when one bad thing happens, like a hurricane, it's bad enough, all these other dominoes begin to fall along with it. Like a serious earthquake there in Yellowstone. What that can bring with it is the utter destruction of the United States as we know it, and life on this planet. With every passing bit of bad information, all these little tidbits, the disaster gets worse and worse. Are you ready for that? Are you ready to abandon what you believe is right and wrong? Are you prepared mentally for the hunger, dehydration, the suffering? Do you have plans and preparations for the events to come? And do you have weapons? If you don't have these things, life is going to get very fucking ugly for you. You're not willing to abandon your sense, artificial sense of that, of what's right and wrong. You're going to have a terrible fucking time. Terrible. So, you have to be prepared to abandon your ideas of right and wrong. Because if you don't, somebody is going to kill you. Somebody's going to kill you. And if they don't kill you, the lack of nutrients will, or the disease, which is why it's very, very important that you are prepared. Because if you have enough nutrients, your body is going to be strong enough to fight off disease. If you have things like iodine and colloidal silver and other stuff, black mica, if you have rice and peanut butter and beans and canned meats, maybe some life straws, water filtration, you're going to be a bit better off than the average person. The average person, in very, very short order, is going to be fucked. And I mean fucked so bad that they won't even want to live. Families are going to commit suicide together. And those who don't have shit right now will use violence to get the shit they need. Which is why you need melee weapons. Machetes, knives, swords, a crossbow, compound bow, and some guns, and supply of ammo to go along with these guns. You need these things, and you need them now. It's almost D-Day. It's almost that day. It's almost time. I know this for certain. I hope you take the warnings of the people that have been sounding the alarm for the last 10 years or more. I hope you have the mental capacity to take the ugly things you're going to see. I hope you do. Till next time, people. Kill the state before the state kills you.